Okay, so we're recording now. My name's Myth. I play Final Fantasy XI on the Azure server. I'm here with my good friend, longtime former static member, Dexprozius.
Hey,
And
nice.
yeah, go ahead, Dex.
Well, it's been a pleasure to play with you, and I'm happy to talk about what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Mog Bonanza stuff that came out today. I think, like, at least for me, it was a big shock. I don't know about you, Dex. Was it a big shock?
I was jaw on the floor. I couldn't believe that they did this.
Yeah, I swear at least once a month for the last year, whenever this topic has come up, I've always said, there's no way in a million years this will ever happen.
If you're active on the auction house forums, you can find a plethora of my posts complaining about these weapons and moaning that SE needs to make them available.
Right. Right. And now, like, out of nowhere, we just got, everyone got a free one. And now everybody's trying to scramble and figure out what the fuck to do with any of these.
I mean, some people are snap picking. I'm holding out.
Yeah. So I picked up two of them because I have 6 characters, right? So I picked up two of them after a long day of consideration. And I have 4 more that I can pick up, and I have not made decisions for them. So I picked up Miracle Cheer, and I've picked up Onion Sword 3 for my Bard character and my Dancer. And we'll kind of talk about why in a little bit. But is there anything that like caught your eye right away, or are you still waiting on belt testing?
Um, I'll say straight out that I think the majority of players will pick the Onion Sword.
Okay.
I think the Onion Sword, basically another Nagling, but
Mm-hmm.
synergizes really well into content with a weapon skill wall,
Cool.
and it offers other jobs like Dancer more versatility in their toolkit. That being said, I'm praising this weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I want it, but I'm still like 50-50 on that and Miracle Cheer, considering
Right.
I play Bard so much in Endgame these days, and I
Right.
think Miracle Cheer offers a variety of options.
Do you want to start with Onion Sword then, since that seems to be the one that's kind of like on the forefront of everybody's mind? It's a big
I,
one for
I
sure.
do think that like the the forefront of the conversation is most people like, oh, should I be getting this?
Yeah. So Onion Sword, 165 damage, 40 accuracy. The big thing on it is Fast Blade 2. Outside of that, it has shield or chance of successful block plus 10, but that's not really super important in my opinion. The big thing is Fast Blade 2. What do you think about it?
Fast Blade 2 seems to be on par with Savage Blade in a lot of high buff scenarios.
Right.
Even though it's a straight 80 dex mod, it has FTP transfer across both hits, so you can wear Fosha gear and get a lot of benefit out of them. You can wear multi-hit, and if you're wearing Nyame, you're already wearing multi-hit.
Right. See, my big draw for it is having a slashing option for Dancer.
Yeah.
I think that it opens up a lot of options. Like I've been saying for years as kind of a joke that Dancer is the best support DD for Kalunga, as long as you have an Onion Sword. And I never
And now,
thought that we would actually be able to do that and test that theory. But now I really want to. I got an Onion Sword for my Dancer, like I said. I'm going to give that a try very, very soon.
my static member from Swordy snap picked the sword, and I
Yeah.
don't think that's too bad of a choice. Like,
No,
you're not going to regret it.
absolutely.
But immediately hopped on his Dancer and tested, I think, versus Apex mobs,
Right.
and he would do like 50 to 75k,
Mhm.
but occasional 99ks, and I think that's the FTP transfer.
Yeah, so that's what I've heard. Fastblade 2 has a multi-hit FTP transfer, so it's a 2 hits originally, but it carries FTP, so it's gonna do a lot more damage when that double attack kicks in. So I've heard people saying that you're gonna get a wide spread of damage, but at the same time, like a typical Fastblade 2 is probably slightly weaker than a typical Savage Blade.
Yeah,
which is what I would expect.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Cool. You got anything else to add for that one?
Well, it's a fusion property. So if
yeah.
you're with another DD that is using a Savage Blade, especially weapon skill wall scenarios like I mentioned, you're
Right.
just going to get incidental light skill chains for
Right.
free.
Absolutely. I love that.
I think that's going to be quite powerful.
Yeah.
We're going to test, we have Bard and Corsair using Savage Blade on Ammonon. We're going to test a combo and see how that goes.
That's awesome. I'm
Distortion too,
looking
that's
forward
right,
to that.
McDougal.
Oh yeah, McDougal Distortion too. So that is really, really cool.
Free skill chains, whereas before, there's going to be fights where you don't want skill chains and people can just continue doing Savage Blade spam, but
Right.
free damage in other fights is always beneficial.
Oh,
And this
absolutely.
is add more to your repertoire.
The ability to vary weapon or damage types, especially for Dancer, this is a huge thing. We've seen piercing jobs get just really fucked over the years because they don't have access to good slashing damage. So I'm hoping this really helps with Dancer.
I could see it, and there's been so much talk about let's replace the warrior in this fight or that fight, like Kalunga.
Right.
Hey, we got box step now instead of just Warcry.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. So let's. Oh, hi Dex. Where are you? There he is. Look at this handsome guy. Have you already done your peculiar foes?
That's what I'm doing right now.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna beat you to the next one. All right. I'm gonna pull up the list. And is it okay if we go in line of the list now?
What, starting with Icebrand?
Starting with Icebrand, yeah.
Do you want to hop around based on topics? Because I feel like if we talk about Icebrand, we'll talk about Flametongue.
Sure.
Or do you want to just...
Sure. Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me. I didn't write an outline for this. I have no preparation other than what I've done in my head. So I think just kind of seeing where it goes, as long as we make sure we hit all of them, is good.
Yeah, I feel like Icebrand, Air Knife, and Flametongue are in the same category.
Cool. So Icebrand. It is a single-handed sword. Int plus 30, accuracy, magic accuracy 40, magic attack bonus 40. The big thing that I see is the weapon skill int plus 10%. Occasionally absorbs ice damage and additional effect ice damage. So I don't know a ton about the sword. From what I know from people talking about it, it seems to be a good blue mage cleave weapon, and it could be a good option for blue mages in general.
So
you're a career blue mage, so
Expiation is strength, dex, int. So you get incidental bonus damage on your expiations because of this.
Okay.
This was part of Wave 1 Mog Bonanza. The Mog Bonanza pool that you see now was initially split in half. It had Wave 1, which had the Icebrand, and then Wave 2, which was the Flametongue and other options. I think like the bow was in one and the gun was in another, and then after they did the split, they just said you can pick them all.
I think I vaguely remember that, but yeah, I didn't know that.
We're talking like 3 or 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
As far as it being a cleave option, I think it's... Let me just pull it up right now. I was going to say, I think it's slightly stronger than...
it's probably right around Sakpata's sword.
Sakpata's sword, I think, only has 16 mab on it.
Okay, so it's better than that. It's probably closer to the Bunzi's rod, yeah?
No, it has 20 mab. Okay. So this is not quite a Bunzi's rod, and better than a Sakpata's sword in terms of duking.
Right.
But it has the same accuracy, same magic accuracy, but it has the 30 int on it. But definitely you're correct in assuming that, wow, it's an Utu grip, but for int.
Right, yeah. So my biggest reservation about this, I think it's cool as a versatile blue weapon. I think my biggest reservation is if you're meleeing, it's going to get pretty far outshadowed by the TP bonus stuff, which I think is going to be a pretty common theme that we see tonight.
That's definitely my point of contention for picking any of these 3 items.
Right.
The Flametongue, the Icebrand, or the Air Knife.
Right. They're all interesting stats, but they're essentially an Utu grip, whereas the TP bonus is really exponentially increasing your damage.
I think there's an argument to be made more for the Flametongue with the PDL on it. It has 5 PDL, spoiler. But
Do you wanna go ahead and move to Flametongue now? Do you have anything else to add for Icebrand?
Well, I was gonna say we need to see how much additional effect damage it does.
Okay.
In solo content, this will be probably a lot stronger, and in high-end content where you're fighting things that have an accuracy threshold requirement, those TP bonus weapons fall off really hard because you're unable to gain TP. You're just missing with them.
Right. That's a good point. I can't remember if we brought this up during the recording or before, but everything that we're talking about right now is just speculation on our end. Nothing has had really solid, good tests. We've had a little bit of information coming in through the auction house and kind of like first-hand testing, but a lot of this stuff right now we're just kind of waiting and seeing, going off what we know exactly about these weapons and kind of going from there. So do you want to go on to Flametongue now?
Sure.
Since that pairs nicely, you could say the opposite of the Icebrand, the Flametongue. We have Strength 30, Accuracy 40, PDL 5, Weapon Skill Strength plus 10%, occasionally absorbs fire and deals additional damage fire. So it's almost the exact opposite of the Flamebrand, or the Icebrand, sorry. What do you think?
I think it's, in general, just a better option.
Yeah.
Having the mab on this the Icebrand for cleaving purposes, you're gonna get more mileage out of just existing tools.
Okay.
But having an offhand that you swap in for, I need accuracy. There are fights on Blue Mage where I'll sub the Sakpata sword just because the TP bonus is not gonna matter if I'm not hitting.
That's fair, yeah. But how often are you running into that right now? Because I gotta say, at least in my experience, for basement swordy bosses, which I would think have some of the higher accuracy requirements now, I can still make TP bonuses pretty viable.
It depends if you have a red mage.
Sure, like distract plays a big part.
Yep.
Okay.
Soul Voice and red mage makes a big difference.
Right. So potentially, if the accuracy requirements are there, this could be a good alternative to the TP stuff. Is there any like weapon skills? Again, like red mage, blue mage, I don't really play these jobs very much. I do play warrior and paladin a lot, but I can't think of any really big weapon skills that don't scale with TP that you would be using in a situation where you could use this. Like Knights of the Round from Paladin, but you wouldn't be offhanding a Flametongue. That's
you wouldn't be dual wielding on
right, exactly.
I mean, I think earlier on in Swordy's life cycle, people would sub red mage, sub ninja on red mage, or dancer on red mage, and dual wield, but that's kind of fallen to the wayside.
Right.
That being said, I mean, subbing a Flametongue in a high buff scenario where you're getting like Soul Voice songs and stuff, that PDL might carry a lot more weight.
Okay.
I could see having AM3 with a Tizona and having that offhand, the TP bonus might be less consequential, and I could get more benefit from the PDL.
Okay. That's cool.
That being said, I think it's quite niche to need an offhand like that. If you have accuracy issues with your TP bonus weapon, the TP bonus typically is so strong on any job that would use it. Like Ninja uses a TP bonus offhand katana, Blue Mage uses the sword. Jobs that use that are typically using a weapon skill that scales so heavily with TP that it outweighs any option by a mile.
Okay. So if we were to say like Onion Sword, obviously very nice for its situation. We call that like an A tier.
Yeah.
Icebrand maybe a C because it's like situational, probably rarely used.
I'd put Flame in between, yes.
In between like a B or a C?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what would you rate Flametongue?
I would put it in high C or B.
Okay.
It would definitely be. It's not in like a top pick, but if you pick something amazing this time around and you win again, maybe then you'd consider it.
Right. Cool. You want to move on to Air Knife?
Sure.
Another similar one. We have 103 damage, delay of 150, which is really nice. Agility 30, accuracy 40, magic accuracy, haste plus 10%, weapon skill agility plus 10%, occasionally absorbs wind and deals wind. So personally, hey, hush, buddy. Personally, if Ranger was on this, I would absolutely love this. I would have a much higher opinion of this if Ranger could use it.
It's a shame they can't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Y isn't X job on Y weapon.
Right.
On the
right. I
and
agree with that.
We could address them when we get there, but you know.
Yeah.
Too little, too late. Thief and Dancer is not enough of a pool on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think just the jobs that are limited to this weapon is its biggest limiting factor. I think the idea of agility as a mod is cool, but why would Thief and Dancer want agility as a mod?
It would improve their weapon skills, some of them. Most of their weapon skills are dex-based, though.
Yes, Janiro, it sure is still in check. You are absolutely right. And Janiro, welcome in. You missed, we are currently recording a little bit of a video podcast. I'm over here at Dexprozius. We're going over all of the Mog Bonanza weapons, and right now we're talking about the air knife. All right, so anything you want to add for the air knife? I feel like it's relatively cut and dry, unfortunately. As much as I want to like it,
I think it's worth the high brand in terms of viability.
Yeah.
That being said, 10 haste is nice. I think if you're some super crazy thief aficionado,
right,
I could see getting it and then making some bizarre sets. But nowadays, modern gear typically gets you damn close to haste cap on its own.
Yeah.
This will just fill in whatever gaps you have and make sure you're guaranteed haste cap.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, the additional effect seems pretty cool. It sounds like early reports from the auction house are saying 400 damage hit, which is not insignificant. It's just, when do I need that damage, and when am I actually going to be able to apply something like that?
Yep.
My immediate thought went to Odin, but you can't use this for Odin because it's going to feed him TP if you go that method. Right. So, anything else to add for that one?
Delay is nice. You're going to get TP fast.
Yeah.
All three of these weapons are never going into your main hand ever on any of the jobs in question.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. McDougal says, I like that wind damage doesn't overwrite haste Samba. That is really cool. That is nice.
It is nice to get an N effect for free.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
By all accounts, it's doing 300 damage on some targets, so I'm sure there's more testing to be done, like Myth said.
So,
rank it in a low C, D tier.
Yeah.
Don't pick this your first weapon. Maybe down the road if you get lucky, or if they do this yearly, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath, but if they do, it would be not a bad pick. So next on the list is Dragon Fangs. It is the hand-to-hand. It's got Dex plus 30, accuracy 40. Well, I mean, I'm gonna stop saying accuracy because I think all of them have accuracy 40. Those basic stats that are kind of.
I do believe they all have the base.
Yeah.
Attribute 30, accuracy, magic accuracy 40, and then insert unique thing.
So this one is occasionally doubles kick attacks damage and Dragon Blow. And then it also has Puppet Master kick attacks and stuff like that. But Dragon Blow...
Kick attack, right?
So this says Puppet Master kick attacks plus 14. So I think it gives the...
But I'm saying Puppet natively doesn't.
Oh,
this
right.
This grants Puppet the unique ability to kick attack.
Right, I believe so. I'm not super familiar with Pup. It's one of my least familiar jobs. But I believe you're correct.
That's my understanding, at least, from discussion with people. So it's 14% chance to kick attack and doubles that damage.
Okay. So Dragon Blow is the big thing on this, correct? So this is a weapon skill that is relatively similar to Savage Blade because it scales with TP so much. It has an 85% dex modifier. At 1000 TP it has 3.675, and then at 3000 it goes up to 10.4, which is a really big jump, but it's not quite as big as Savage Blade. So my initial thoughts are this would have been a really cool option If you are a newer monk, looking for a solid weapon skill and you don't have access to a prime anytime soon. What do you think?
My thing about monk specifically is it's sad to say, but I think, a couple years back, 5 or 6 years back,
Yeah,
there was that argument of, oh, I'll use Varathragna for this and I'll use God Hands for this. And modern monk can just full-time God Hands. And
right,
it's great. So if you have and Aeonics aren't that bad to get. At least on Asura, you can buy one relatively cheaply from a merc.
right.
And we've all been scaled so heavily that fighting even the helms at the end of the Aeonics is not that difficult.
No,
So
that's
getting an Aeonic isn't any stretch.
yeah, yeah. We actually did an Ionic run a couple weeks ago, and it took it was 18 people, and half of them have never done an Ionic before, and it took us about 4.5 hours, start to
There you go.
finish, all 3 zones. Yeah, Ionics are not difficult.
I would say that the Aeonic weapon,
Mhm.
unfortunately, will blow this out of the water.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
as you were saying, as a beginner weapon, this is probably going to put you right on the map, kind of similar to picking up Babby's first nagling,
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the testing, assuming someone does, between how Dragon Blow compares to Victory
Howling
Smite and Howling Fist.
hmm
Those are the two main ones that I'm interested in.
I do think career pups might enjoy this more than monks.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Cool. Anything else to add on this one?
Is the upgraded version much better? Like
I
maybe
think
that'll
all of the
cut down
upgraded
that?
ones just have base stats. Yeah. From my understanding,
I didn't
is
look over the base versus upgrade for everything, but I did hear on the forums that the upgraded scythe that we'll talk about later has more base damage than a stage 5 prime
oh,
scythe, which
interesting.
is crazy.
McDougal says he disagrees. He is not a fan. McDougal, is there anything specifically that you disagree with? You don't think it'll be good for pup, or you don't think that it'll be would it be good for like a beginner monk? The upgrades, yeah, I agree. I agree. The upgrades did seem pretty lackluster, for sure.
It's extremely disappointing that the upgrades didn't upgrade the 2 support items. They only upgraded the weapons.
So McDougal says he doesn't like it for pup because it doesn't really add much. That's fair.
I definitely think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think this weapon adds a unique weapon skill, which makes it, niche and fun.
Right.
But other than that, it doesn't really do anything spectacular.
Right.
I'd put it like tier.
Yeah.
I think in F tier, there are some weapons that belong in F tier and that they don't do anything.
Right. Yeah. So you said D tier for the knuckles? Cool.
Maybe C, but I would put it in D.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Okay, so after Dragon Fangs is Drastic Axe, and I gotta say, as a warrior main, this is the most underwhelming thing that I could possibly think of. I don't like it. 0 out of 10. Damage 347, 30 vit, so you get the modifier for Steel Cyclone and the upheaval, and then negates Berserk defense reduction, which comes off once you unequip it, and then Berserk extends Berserk duration by 1 second during a skill chain.
As a critique to Square Enix or their dev team or whoever created these, some of these are really fun and cool, and I'm really happy that they took the time to experiment and play around with unique effects.
Right.
But things like this, the effect is cool, even though, albeit like very niche and unnecessary. But slapping a unique weapon skill on this might actually make it appealing.
Yeah,
but not having the weapon skill makes it just a very vanilla weapon that doesn't do anything substantial, and you'll always pick a Rima over it.
Yeah, if there was a unique weapon or weapon skill, I'd be much more interested in this. Even if I thought it would only be applicable to, say, I don't know, 1% of fights, because I'm a career warrior. If I can get that and apply it well, I'm gonna do that. But to
Like
me, there's nothing that this can be applied to.
The weapon we just spoke about was, wow, pup can kick attack and a unique weapon skill. If this had no defense down and a unique weapon skill, then we'd be talking.
Yeah. So Drastic Axe in the F tier for me.
In the trash.
Yeah.
Throw it away. Don't even consider it.
That's an easy one. On to Miracle Cheer.
Ooh.
So
the fun one.
Miracle Cheer is interesting. All songs +3 grants an additional song effect and sets the song duration for party members to 15 minutes. Again, this is one that I picked up for my Bard, but that is my character that pretty much only plays Bard. If I had that on a different character, I probably would not have chosen this.
I think most people with alternate Bards are going to pick this up.
Right. But here's my problem with Miracle Cheer and the hype that it's getting right now. A lot of people are saying that it's a really good soul voice extender. It's really good for that. And I don't think they understand what a nightmare it's going to be to try to configure that. Especially when you have to equip weapons like Marcius for Honor March, or if you're using Aria, now you have 2 songs that cannot get that 15-minute limit. And it's going to turn messy a lot sooner than people realize. What do you think about it?
Okay, so the Miracle Cheer is brand new Bard's best friend.
Yes.
It puts you on the map right away. It's 1 potency weaker than Yellowhorn, which most people will critique, but it's not that strong of a difference. Losing 1 potency is a big deal.
Yep.
The 15-minute thing is extremely cool. It is not increased by any outside source. It's 15 flat no matter what. No Troubadour, no Marcado duration extender, nothing.
Could you imagine if we nitroed and it became 30 minutes?
That'd be hot.
That'd be amazing.
The soul voice argument. Obviously, Honor March is the best song in the game. That's not going anywhere.
Right.
You're going to need to sing that, and you're going to need to contend with the fact that your Honor March is going to wear off sooner than everything else.
Yeah.
That being said, I think your argument isn't as negative to the weapon or to the item as you're making it out to be.
Okay.
You can definitely juggle it. It's not that complicated, in my opinion. You can sing your soul voice songs and then reapply with the weapon on without nitro at the end of your soul voice to get nearly 18 minutes on them.
Yeah.
And you can just continuously overwrite your Honor March. My biggest appeal of this item, that I'm full transparency as a Bard for most content, I'm 50-50 between the Onion Sword and this.
See, and I was considering the Onion Sword for Bard as well. Yeah.
I'm leaning more towards the Onion Sword because I'll get to not Savage Blade and let the Corsair Savage Blade, yada yada. But this item is super cool in that the 15-minute flat lets you apply your songs to your party,
right,
and then not have to struggle overwriting your full duration songs for your mages, your tank.
Yeah,
like in
that's the big point for me. Is that was really why I pulled the trigger, is for ballad and for min defense songs. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And those, I already plugged it in. I love that you can just overwrite songs super easily with those. That's been a major pain point for me as a Bard when I'm trying to multi-box Odyssey and stuff like that. Makes it way easier. So I do
ballad
like
3,
it for that.
Ballad 2. Oh, nope, they overwrote Ballad 3. Ballad 2 again. Ballad 3. Oh, no, did not.
Exactly.
That whole problem is gone.
Yes. So to me, that makes it worth it.
That is the biggest appeal to me. There's also, as someone who plays Bard often, especially in like CLC with shout groups, you can't always expect perfect. People are going to die. And having the ability to put up 15-minute songs on people actually is quite viable and good.
Right. My understanding as well is that this effect does not increase the duration of enfeebles. Is that correct?
No, not from testing, no.
Yeah. So enfeebles like Threnody for Ammonon and stuff like that, they will remain the same. It would be really cool if you could just soul voice and do like 1 Threnody. But that's just something to keep in mind if you are thinking about that.
Can you imagine?
That'd be amazing. Oh man, 15-minute lullaby. How easy would that make some of the master trials now?
From a new player perspective or someone who doesn't have a bard,
Mhm.
picking this weapon up is like, I don't need to make a Karn anytime soon.
Yeah,
I don't need to make any of these crap anytime soon.
yeah. Somebody described it earlier as a instrument that is better with the less gear that you have, and I think that's a
That's
pretty
pretty accurate.
accurate. Yeah,
I think this is for bards that have very little to none, or bards that have everything
right.
and not
Right.
in between.
I think that's a good description. So I would put that. I think up in A. What do you think?
I think it's either low A or high B.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of argument to be made
it's
for
it's a
picking this item.
side grade kind of, but at the same time, it is a flat out improvement.
Its
So
effect is so unique that
yeah,
even though it is a side grade, it offers something unique even if you have everything,
yeah.
which is worth noting.
And I mean, in general, these weapons aren't going to be game changing. So if you have a straight improvement, even in like some small areas, I think that's very significant.
This is one of the few items on the list that is somewhat game changing.
Yeah, I agree. Which is funny because when I was thinking about these more abstractly, I never thought this would be something that I would consider.
I've been singing the praises of this item on the forums for a while.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm glad you thought about it better than I did because I didn't give it that much thought.
I play Bard a lot.
That's very true. I have a bard, but I can't say that I play it that much. Okay, let's move on to Pandit Staff.
Another one I talk highly of. So
Do you? Well,
Mhm.
okay. So let me read off the stats real quick, and then I want you to tell me about that because I don't know what I think about this. So this is Mind plus 30. We have Enmity minus 20, Fast Cast plus 20, Cure Potency plus 50, Refresh plus 2, and then the Enchantment re-raise 5.
Yep.
So why do you like it?
I'll use it every 20 hours. Re-raise 5 is unique in that the re-raise you get raises you with no weakness and full health.
Right. So you are effectively unweakened as soon as
Correct.
you get up, which is
You get a 2-over.
Yeah, it's a unique stat that you're not going to get it anywhere else.
Correct.
Is that the only reason that you like it?
I think this staff is incredibly good for white mages that are people's alts. White mages that you'll just drag around.
Right.
It allows you to do stuff that you wouldn't have to worry about swapping weapons around, or you can just get all these stats on this one stick and then focus on Surd or defense or other items.
Okay.
Or Cure Pot 2.
Okay. See,
as far as a main white mage goes, I wouldn't really see using this outside of like very specific fights where you're standing on top of the party and you need that re-raise effect.
Right. And that's why I don't like it, is because it's only white mage and summoner.
Yeah. If Paladin could use this, that'd be super cool.
If this, instead of giving an enchantment re-raise 5, even if it was an enchantment of raise 5, that would be game changing to me.
Yeah, where you can cast on others.
Yeah, because when I'll be honest with you, when my white mage dies and has re-raise, I am normally not too scared to get up. White mage is very, very tanky. It can take a lot of damage, and it's one of those things where unless I'm like in a V25 or something, I feel pretty confident that my white mage can survive getting up as long as there's nothing that's going to like immediately aggro it and still keep doing its job.
I don't disagree with that assessment. I'm thinking of this more from like a V25 perspective.
Okay,
like,
that's fair.
We're trying this really hard boss fight. I get one re-raise 5 a day, so we're gonna try today, and then we might try again tomorrow. Okay, I'm gonna be standing on top of it, and if I die, the fight's over. This can save that fight.
Right. That's absolutely fair.
I think there's a lot to go into the build craft of it as well, considering it provides so much to your set that you would have to change your sets around it.
See, we were talking about that earlier, and so a big thing that people were arguing for this was like how easy it caps cure potency and fast cast. So like in a mid cast set, you could focus more on TT or whatever you want to. But my argument against that is that white mage can already cap DT relatively easily in a mid cast set, especially. I think any person that's been doing white mage at a high level for any period of time already has a capped DT and surge
Your pot set.
Yeah, exactly. So for like an experienced white mage, I don't like it very much. For
I
a
understand.
newer one, I think it could be really nice, like you were saying.
My initial point was your alt white mages, your
Yeah,
my mules are
Yeah.
suddenly like a lot stronger.
yeah. I think you're spot on with that. Absolutely. Cool. McDougal says that I am 100% correct. They actually should have put Raise 5 on there.
That would be
Somebody
amazing.
should tell them that there was a typo. Anyway, let's move on to. We already did Flame Tongue, so we're going to go to Hebo Spear.
Here with Flame Tongue, just to keep us going on the tier list.
You put Hebo Spear with Flame Tongue? Oh,
Pandit Staff.
Oh, Pandit Staff with Flame Tongue, and that, yeah, thank you for bringing that back up. I know I tend to move around a little bit. So Pandit Staff was C tier.
I put it in B personally.
B tier. Okay, perfect, cool.
I don't know if you wanted to put it in C.
Nope, I think B is good. I think that's a reasonable place, considering that it does actually have an impact, whereas some of the items on here have very little to no impact. Like the next one, Hebo Spear. We have a polearm. It is mind plus 30, weapon skill mind plus 10, occasionally absorbs water damage, additional effect water damage, all jumps recover wyvern HP, and regen plus 5 for the wyvern. What do you think?
Utu grip times 2. You get Utu grip with Dex and Utu grip with mind at the same time.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't do anything, just like the, what is it, Drastic Axe? It doesn't do anything unique enough to warrant using this over like an actual weapon with a weapon skill enhancing modifier.
Right. I think it could be like I want to like this. I really, really want to like this, because I think the idea of the jumps recover wyvern HP could add a unique dimension to Dragoon if you were level 75 doing pentathrusts on Calibri.
I want to see how much HP recovered.
Right. So somebody had it, and they started testing it out, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I don't think they said it was very significant. But even if it was, like, Dragoon has ways to heal its wyvern. Dragoon has ways to keep its wyvern alive, to the point that I don't think this is relevant enough to trade off the damage and other things that other options have.
I also think the regen is completely irrelevant. Like, it'd have to be like regen plus 25 or 50 to actually be relevant.
Right. Oh man. Okay. So I put this, like, I want to put this in the D tier.
I would too.
Not quite F, because I think it's unique.
More than Drastic Axe.
Yeah.
But not nearly enough to warrant like picking it.
Right. Okay.
Cool. So we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
And we didn't discuss it very often.
Yeah.
It's just one and done. Boom. Fine.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add for that one?
No.
Cool.
Just more weapon skill damage. I'd love to see it tested to see,
Yeah,
where you compare to other Remo weapons, but I'm sure it will lag behind by quite a bit.
Yeah, the initial damage test that I've seen is that the damage is low, and it's not ideal. Unfortunately, I think that's a theme for polearms. Unless you're rocking the prime, it's gonna struggle. Or like you have the obviously you have the ambuscade weapon, but for Dragoon it's not as good as, say, Warrior and stuff.
And unfortunately for Dragoon, that is the only spear on this list.
Right. That is very unfortunate. Okay, so next we have Save the Queen 3.
We're in your territory now.
Yeah, we sure are. We have the Paladin only, Mind plus 30, Enmity plus 10, Cover Duration plus 30, Cure Potency 2 plus 20%, and then Cover reduces Sentinel cast time. I
like this weapon,
really?
but I think this is something every paladin would pick up if you could quest it. I think it's something that you wouldn't pick from a bonanza.
Right. So, oh shit, I went to the wrong space. That's
If
okay.
this was something you could just get for free without having to waste your one time only, you know what I mean? Like, you would have it in your arsenal, and it would be a cover macro piece, and in certain fights, you know, where you cover more often, this would be great for, like, being more support paladin.
So,
But
the thing that I don't like about it is that with Majesty, you are 5% short of capping Cure Potency too.
yeah.
So you're not effectively getting much Cure Potency out of this.
Yeah, I think the cure potency is irrelevant on this weapon.
See, when I first saw it, my first thought was, oh, Cure Potency, because I like being a support paladin. I like making it heal, stuff like that. And to me, cover duration is not important.
I like the Sentinel, though.
See, I need to know how that works. Is it like every time I take damage for someone, does it reduce it by 1 second?
That was what I thought, but
Okay.
that's definitely a good point. I don't know.
And even if then, that's a maximum of 30 seconds or something like that. Unless you're getting hit by a ton of mobs for some reason, that seems like a relatively low return. It doesn't seem like it's going to significantly reduce it. And that's
how
if
long
you're
does
in
it
a
on its own?
It's Sentinel. I think it's 5 minutes.
Cover.
Oh, cover lasts 30 seconds.
Okay, so this doubles the duration.
Yeah. So you'd get a minute. So you could potentially get a minute off of Sentinel. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being useful. Overall, not something that I've seriously considered on Paladin. It, to me, does not give me enough to want to use it over Burtgang or other sword options that we have. Even the SU5 like is relatively close to these stats. Covers 45 seconds. McDougal corrected me. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
So it's 45 base.
Yeah, 45 base, so you'd get a minute 15.
So it's a minute 15.
Yeah, and then that's with job points and the relic plus 3 head.
And the reference Baronet plus 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
I do think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's. I want to like it, but it's not quite enough for me to be interested in it.
I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just saying that is strictly because it's a bonanza weapon.
Yeah, that's fair.
If this wasn't a bonanza weapon, you would want it in your arsenal. For like in X scenario, I'm gonna toggle to the cover set. You know what I mean?
So in that that frame of mind, you would rank this C?
Yes, exactly.
I think that's fair. Cool. Anything else to add for Save the Queen?
No, I think that's all.
All right, so we're gonna move on to Brave Blade 3. We have
I've seen a lot of talk about this.
Yeah, so have I. I was talking to Shiraj about this. I was hoping he was actually going to be on here with us, but he had a very busy day, and I told him that he should probably get some sleep. So Brave Blade 3, damage 331. This is a great sword for Paladin, Dark Knight, and Rune Fencer. We have strength plus 30, and the only unique stat is increases physical damage limit based on enmity.
It also has magic defense bonus 10.
Oh yeah, I missed that. Good pointing out. Thank you. And from what I understand from reading, the cap is about 20 to 25% PDL based on your enmity. So that seems pretty significant. What do you think about it?
Well, as a rune fencer or paladin, I guess, but I don't see paladin using this.
Right.
You would definitely have enough enmity to reach that cap of 20-25% PDL. But then that begs the question, where are you getting the attack to actually benefit from this PDL stat you're boosting?
Yeah, I
and
think I think this is a problem of how are you going to take advantage of this?
Yeah, I'd rather Lionheart at that point or Hillheim.
Yeah, I've heard some recent people saying they're having a lot of success with Lionheart on Ammonon, actually, with a
Cool.
Rune Fencer tank. So, but
I mean, I've tanked. I've had a Rune Fencer tank Ammonon sub
mhm,
White Mage before, and it's a little sketchier than Paladin. But
yeah,
if you're practiced at it and you're doing it often, then of course, just like a Paladin throws out Knights of the Round to increase your kill speed, I could see a Rune Fencer doing the same thing.
right. I I wish Rune Fencer had the ability to take advantage of this. And then outside of Rune Fencer, I feel like obviously the same problem is going to arise with Paladin if it puts it on at all. And for
So
Dark Knight,
essentially, this is a Dark Knight weapon.
yeah. So for Dark Knight, how are you going to take advantage of this? Is my question.
Well, typically I could see Dark Knight getting a lot of enmity, but they're using another weapon to do incredibly big weapon
Right,
skills.
exactly.
So what are you just gonna pop Soul Eater for enmity spike and then
Yeah, pop a stun, Soul Eater, and then I don't know,
hope for the best?
sub Rune Fencer and foil. I'm just kidding. But
It just doesn't seem like there's enough in this weapons kit to provide the benefit that it's trying to do.
yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's really close. What would push this over for me again is if it had a unique weapon skill that scaled with FTP.
Here's
Or
the
skill.
worst thing of the weapon. It doesn't have a tag on it.
Yeah,
Put a tag on it.
yeah, it doesn't have that. That's very true. But
Put 40 attack
overall,
on it or 80 attack, and it would be like, okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah, I agree. Overall, I'd probably put this in the D tier, maybe even F. What do you think?
I don't think F is fair to it.
Yeah.
It does do something interesting. It just doesn't do it well. So
Okay.
put it in D.
Okay, we'll go D tier with the Brave Blade.
I'm saving F for that, like the next weapon.
The next weapon. Oh, I'm yeah. This is all you, buddy. We have Exeter. This is the
That's the end of the
gun.
conversation.
Yeah, for real. Damage 150, agility plus 30, store TP plus 10. Ammunition that can be stacked will not be consumed. So this is a ranger and corsair only. Dex, you're a career core. You are actually the big force behind my Corsair guide. What do you think about this?
I mean, I'm also a career ranger. I just don't get to play it off.
That's very true.
Fummelhot has base 167 damage.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing, Square Enix? This doesn't give any ranged attack. This doesn't give any magic damage for Corsair, like the other weapons do.
Okay.
It gives just 10 store TP, same as Fummelhot, with no TP bonus. Ammunition that can? Didn't you mean to say cannot? That would make this cool.
Right.
If this could use the one unstackable bullets and just spam them, then we'd have, it wouldn't be good enough, but it'd be interesting enough to consider. This does nothing.
Yeah.
This does nothing at all. Any ranger or corsair worth their salt has at least one pouch or two from Remo weapons that provide them infinite ammo already.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
If I could put this below F, I would.
100%. I'm a pretty serious ranger myself. I fully agree. There's absolutely nothing on this that seems interesting to me. McDougal says this being able to use the prime bullet would be fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
it should say cannot be stacked. Unstackable bullets can be used infinitely. Then you could use Hawksbach. You could use Amiki. You could use Bayou Bullet. This would be great. No, that's a stretch. This would be better.
Sounds good. Anything else to add? F tier? I think we can agree.
F minus.
F minus. All right. F minus in the trash. Shove it under the carpet. Ignore
Repeat
it.
a grade.
Yep. All right. We did Onion Sword 3. So let's talk about the Zanmato 2. And to be honest, this is probably the one that I've looked at least. This is the Great Katana, Strength plus 30. We have Skill Chain reduces Sekinoki recast by 1 second. And then Sekinoki TP is not consumed, and TP bonus is given based on current TP.
So you get to 2k TP, you pop
Mhm.
Sekinoki,
And then you get a TP bonus based off of that.
you do a weapon skill
Mhm.
with a TP bonus, and it doesn't reduce your 1k TP off the Sekinoki.
Right.
And then you do another weapon skill at much higher TP than you normally would, with an additional TP bonus as well.
So theoretically, you're going to be doing
Big skill
a
change.
normal weapon skill and then a weapon skill with a lot of TP and a TP bonus.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about this one.
I think this is like, I think the design intention behind this was solo players out there who solo on Samurai.
Yeah. Okay. See, I'd be interested to see what the actual math on the TP bonus that is given based on current TP. I don't know if that's been reported yet. I haven't seen anything like that about that on the auction house. So I want to know what the TP bonus is exactly before I really judge. But I'll be honest,
like 500 or 1,000. That's huge.
Right, but I'll be honest, the samurai great katana weapon skills are not very strong. So what is really going to be benefiting from this?
Not having the ability to boost it with a separate modifier of 10 to 20% is a big detriment.
Hacks, etc.
And then you don't get any sort of weapon. You don't get any attack of weapon.
Yeah. Hacks, etc. First time chatter, thanks for stopping in. He said it's the SE5 Great Katana, but a bit better.
But a bit better?
He says it's a bit better. I don't know the SE5 Great Katana, so I don't really have...
The SE5 Great Katana gives you access to every weapon skill except for the Relic.
Really?
I'll pull it up real quick.
Sure. Yeah, let's take a look. I don't know much about the SE5 Great Katana, so...
Fusanaikyo. It gives Sekinoki TP bonus 70% based on remaining TP, able to use all Great Katana weapon skills. Asterisk. It doesn't let you use Mume. Oh, no Mume. Yeah.
No Mume. That makes sense.
They should have, you know, when they added Mume to the game, upgraded this code, which is pretty dumb.
Yeah. So that's an interesting comparison because it does seem like a very, very similar thing. So based off of that, my understanding is SE5 Great Katana not super great. So if that is the reasoning behind it, and this is a very similar, if not almost the exact same mechanic, then this is probably not very great either.
Interesting that the SE5's TP bonus is based on remaining TP, and Zanmato +2 is TP bonus based on current TP.
Right.
So it's stronger effect.
Right.
So that assessment's pretty accurate, that this is a better SE5.
Yeah, I think that is a good assessment. So where would you rank this?
Skill chain reduces Sekinoki by 1 second is pretty damn useless.
Yeah,
and it should just say like weapon skill reduces Sekinoki cast time or something. I'd put it C tier. I think it's better than D, but it's not good enough to pick up.
Okay. To be honest, I don't know enough about it to really give much of an opinion. So
you definitely need to know more about the TP bonus.
Yeah.
That's the defining factor.
Yeah. Cool.
This could be D tier if it's weak, or it could be all the way B tier if it's good. If that stat is good.
So
do you want to jump to the other Great Katana while we're here?
Oh yeah, we can do that. That is the Mutsu-No-Kami.
Mutsu-No-Kami Yoshiyuki.
Okay, perfect. Got it pulled up. We have a Great Katana, 310 damage, strength plus 30. The unique stat is increases counter damage based on the number of third eye evasions. Skill chain increases the number of third eye evasions during Seigen by 1. Initial thoughts for me, this would be awesome when samurai tanking was a thing in like, or when they tried to make it a thing in like Zillard era.
Yes.
But I don't know.
This just doesn't do enough. Like, consider that weapons from Odyssey, like the dagger or the katana, that give all those defensive stats that, you know, they were like, oh, if you end up tanking on Dancer or tanking on Ninja, these are great tools. Like,
Right.
they give all these defensive stats,
Right.
and that is a tanking great katana without defensive stats.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Samurai initially intended to be a tank?
I don't know what the true intention was.
Okay.
I know that they've had discussions about things like that way back when.
Right.
In the 75 era, like, even if they say that per se, Segan and Hasso didn't exist at first. They were added later on.
Sure. Yeah. That could just be
you
a
just had
rumor,
one
you
third
know?
eye back then. I don't think the intention was for them to tank, but I think when Samurai was added and they were doing these massive weapon skills with like Sub Thief and pulling hate constantly, they added these retroactively, and it made them able to like hold their own momentarily while they pulled hate.
Right. So
That being
overall,
said, it's like,
Yeah.
I wish it did more defensively,
Mhm.
and then it just seems more like a solo toy.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like what it's trying to do, but I question whether it's effectively going to do it. And if you are doing it, I wonder if you're sacrificing too much in the means of.
Yeah, you are. I
Yeah.
don't think you're one.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd
yeah,
be
you
like-
definitely are. I feel like Great Katana weapon skills are mostly underpowered if you're not using Masamune or Kusanagi.
You know when you're like fighting a Biztavian and then
Mhm.
it does that blink move and you just can't hit it for like 10 seconds?
That's
This
what it
be
would feel
cool.
like. Yeah, the
If
monster
it
would be
did that,
swinging
it
at you
would be
like
cool.
that.
Like, it
Yeah,
increases the number of third eye evasions by 10.
Right.
That
Right.
would be cool.
okay.
And I don't think, like, I think Square Enix didn't. They were too scared to
Right.
try like to break the mold.
Mhm.
Like, I think if they did exactly what I said, it wouldn't break the game in any substantial way. It would just be silly and fun.
Yeah, I think that
And
would be
so,
cool.
so this doesn't even try to break the mold, and it
Mhm.
just like it ends up being a stinker. I
Right.
think this is an F tier weapon.
I agree. F tier for Mutsu-No-Kami Yoshiyuki. Let's move on to Malefic Axe. This is a Beastmaster Axe. Damage 234, strength 30, and the unique stat is skill chain reduces ready cast time by 1 second. I play Beast. Dex, do you play Beast?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I don't dabble as much as I should.
What do you think of this?
Reducing your ready because you get 2 charges, right?
Right. Oh, you get
Reduce
3.
ready time
You get
by
3.
you get 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so reducing those charge times by 1 second. That sounds really strong.
Mhm.
Where are you skill chaining to get the effect?
Yeah. So I want this is again one of those things where I want to like this. So when I was coming up on Beastmaster, the reason I decided to dive back into this job in the 119 era is because of the ability to self skill chain with your pet, the ability to abuse Killer Instinct, the ability to do like some cool like unique things that I really like about Beast. The unfortunate thing is in practice, especially in the modern endgame, you almost never get to do the cool stuff that you want to do because there's just better ways to do it.
I think the pets would generate TP so much faster for this
Yeah.
to be viable.
Yeah, you're not skill chaining enough on Beastmaster for this to be significant, especially when you're already on 10-second reset timers.
Mhm.
It's, to me, this is kind of just a big L, unfortunately.
It's nice that it has, competitive pet accuracies and
Right.
ranged accuracy, magic accuracy, but a Pangu would have 50.
Yeah, I would I use the Pengu very often actually.
This is missing something else, some other flavor text to make it worth
Mhm.
considering. The skill chain ready time is cool, but that should be in addition to something else.
Yeah. If this were like, let's say, ready cast time just -1 on ready moves, like
Oh,
in
yeah.
general, I think that would be significant enough for me to
Off
want
the
to use
skill
that.
chain aspect.
Right. Just take out the skill chain aspect. Make ready moves a 9-second reset with this axe. Now I'm interested.
Yeah, 100%.
But other than that, I think that's an L. I would probably rate that as it is an F. What do you think?
It's maybe better than the other two weapons in F right now.
Okay,
Those
so
don't do anything, but
okay.
it's either the top of F or the bottom of D.
Sure. So low D, strong F. We're looking good so far. Okay. Artemis Bow +2. We have 276 damage, agility +30, reduces, the additional, or the unique effect, sorry, I can't talk right now. Additional effect, weapon skill hit, reduces barrage cast time by 1 second. Barehanded, ranged accuracy +80, ranged attack +80, store TP +20.
So everyone's going to ask, barehanded means nothing in your main or sub.
Yes.
So you don't get your Nusku shield, you don't get your main hand weapon. Is that good? You have to then consider, like, this is strictly for a ranger that's sitting back at max distance and never swinging, which, you know, if you're playing ranger and ranged attacking, that's not out of the question by any stretch. What are you losing for doing that?
I can hear
Say
the
you're using a
calculator
Perrin, right? If you're using a Perrin, that's 4 store TP right there.
Okay.
8 agility, 45 attack, 30 accuracy, snapshot. So it's already more attack than the base, but not more than the barehanded bonus effect.
Right.
So it's about half. Does the Nusku shield make up for that?
I don't think it does, actually.
Gives 20, 20, and 3 store TP. So I would say it doesn't. The barehanded effect is actually quite strong.
Yeah. It's stronger than it looks at first glance.
Yeah, like you would read this and be like, I'm not taking off my weapons. And then you kind of total the stats. You're like, it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah. I'll be honest, until you kind of explained that, I kind of disregarded that. I looked at that, saw it barehanded, and said, I'm never taking my weapons off.
If you're just shooting from a distance on like Fu or Arabati or I don't know, anything where you're just shooting without having to ever worry about meleeing, then those stats actually unironically beat out the main hand sub.
Okay, so barehanded attack, pretty good. Let's see, weapon skill hit reduces barrage cast time by 1 second. That is kind of interesting to me. I want to take a look.
Barrage is a long cooldown.
Barrage is a long cooldown, and ranger weapon skills quick for a ranged job. I mean, it's pretty quick.
Well, with double shot up, you're like, shoot, weapon skill, shoot, weapon skill. And the barrage timer is just going down. I could see getting a minute off your barrage timer per barrage.
I agree. Barrage without like anything else, just the base recast is 5 minutes. So I could see that actually taking quite a bit off. The question is this going to be a valid weapon to use? Oh, and Hacks, etc. makes a good point that Sharp Shot wouldn't line up, which does kind of impact Barrage. What do you think?
You get to merit Sharp Shot, though. Usually Sharp Shot's up earlier than Barrage.
Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, Sharp Shot recast time, 5 minute base, and then, let's see, reduced by 10 per merit, yeah. Does Barrage have the same? No, it doesn't.
50 seconds off my Sharp Shot, but I don't have any time off my Barrage.
So that would be an interesting thing. Yeah, so this could, if you merit Sharp Shot, actually line those two up really nicely.
I think you should merit Sharp Shot as a ranger.
Yeah.
So typically you're waiting to Sharp Shot again, even though you have it up before your next Barrage. So this makes them look better.
My biggest reservation about this is bow weapon skills. It's almost the same issue that the Great Katana weapon was having, where bow weapon skills right now are not in a good place. What do you think?
I do think gun weapon skills pack a better punch in almost all content.
Yeah.
And I do think that bow typically needs to be at a further distance to hit that true shot sweet spot, you know?
Yeah. Assuming this is a longbow, you'd need to be at about 12.5 from what I remember off the top of my head.
I do think it's a longbow based on the Artemis Bow.
I agree. So I don't know. I'm a big bow fan. I've always loved the old school Ranger bow. I remember coming up with Sidewinder and doing Calibrium air parties. And ever since I re-geared Ranger in the 119 era, that's all I want to do is I want to play with bow. So I made a Candiva. I've worked really hard to make bows work. But often they just don't feel that good, unfortunately.
I do tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
You know what? I just thought about this. On all these weapons, because they're replacing Arima,
yeah,
people discount them.
Mm-hmm.
If you slapped TP bonus on every single one of these, they would instantly become viable.
That's a really good point. Yeah, this with even a 500 TP bonus with Imperial or Refulgent Arrow, that'd be very strong.
That'd be a great Imperial Arrow spam weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, I want to put this like low C.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking the same thing.
Almost D, but
we're completely on the same page.
Okay, cool. Well, overall, I want to like this a lot. It's interesting.
I want to too.
Yeah.
I think Barrage itself won't hit those crazy numbers without the Relic Aftermath, though. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be more just for TP.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna get free, huge weapon skills every now and then, more often, and it will line up with Sharp Shot better.
I love the idea of actually benefiting from not wearing the main weapons.
It's super cool, right?
Yeah.
I wish they went harder into that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I wish all the upgrades with the Moogle Iris just added TP bonus and nothing else.
That would be really cool, honestly.
Fuck.
All right, so we got Artemis Bow +2, low C, not quite D tier, but pretty close. Yeah. Okay, so next we have the final Sickle. This is a Scythe, 364 damage, HP +200, and there's no stat bonus on it. The unique stat is Soul Eater negates HP consumption during regular attack, extends Soul Eater duration by 1 second when using a weapon skill. Well, you play Dark Knight more than me. What do you think?
It negates auto attack HP consumption, not weapon skill HP consumption.
Oh, really?
Whoops.
Is that... Oh, jeez.
You're gonna die.
Yeah. Okay.
What's funny is the text in the base version says negates HP consumption during a regular attack, which is bizarre wording.
Yeah.
The reforged version actually says negates auto attack HP consumption.
Oh, interesting. I didn't see that. That's
funny enough. The reforged version has 403 base damage, which is more than the stage 5 prime weapon.
See, scythes are interesting because they have such high base damage, but again, it suffers from the Great Katana and bow treatment, where the weapon skills are lacking a little bit. From my experience, I'm not a big Dark Knight.
Before the prime scythe, I would say scythes were for skill chaining and great swords were for damage.
Exactly. That is exactly what I would say too. Origin obviously kind of flips stuff on its head a little bit.
On its own, it kind of that mold.
But if you're not counting Origin, which we can't on this, then I think it's gonna kind of suffer from that same thing. What do you think about the Soul Eater extends duration, like unique effect? Is that any good?
I'm sure that's fine, similar to the Barrage thing.
Yeah.
But like,
if you don't die,
man, extends your Soul Eater when you use a weapon skill. So use as many weapon skills as possible to keep Soul Eater up full time, and then simultaneously, you're going to be losing your HP per. So when you're Soul Eatering, the biggest drawback is the meleeing, because like you triple attack and suddenly you lose half your health. Stuff like that happens all the time.
Right.
But the fact that you're chunking yourself so heavily when you use a weapon skill with Soul Eater, even though it's not like you're not going to just explode in 10 seconds from Soul Eater use from triple attacks and stuff.
Right.
You're still going to need supplemental HP generation.
Yeah.
Like if this had Origin on it, it'd be awesome.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It doesn't have the relic weapon skill either, which heals you.
Yeah. So overall, you're gonna take a lot of damage. It seems interesting, but it doesn't have anything to support its unique effect. Is that kind of where we're going?
You'd probably have to have muted souls merited for this too.
What's muted souls? I'm not even sure what that is.
Like enmity down during Soul Eater.
Oh, interesting.
Like 50 enmity off if you max it.
Okay. Well, overall, I don't know too much about Dark Knight. Where would you rate this?
I'd put it in D, in that its effect is better than the F tier weapons, but you're gonna die using this all the same.
Okay. I think that's good for Final Sickle. The next we have up on the list is Chocobo Knife. This one has actually got me thinking a little bit more than I expected it to, based off its first, my initial glance.
I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I'm not a fan.
This is a dagger. Damage 121, agility plus 30. Unique stats are haste plus 10, resist slow plus 90, and movement speed plus 18. So there's
a lot of coverage on it compared to the other dagger.
Yeah. So if this had the agility weapon skill mod, I would like it even more.
Ranger.
Yeah, because it would be phenomenal for Ranger, and that's exactly the point of view that I'm looking at it from. Is how can I apply this to Ranger? For those that aren't looking at this, this is only for Red Mage, Thief, Bard, Ranger, and Dancer. So just based off of those jobs, they're not going to get a lot out of agility except for on Ranger. The movement speed, I don't care about that. All my characters have Shinetic Rings. I'm a big Shinetic Ring proponent. I'll always get a Shinetic Ring. So movement speed.
I can play devil's advocate to that.
What's that? Yeah, go ahead.
If you're on Ranger, you're hover shotting, and this allows you to full time the movement speed.
I don't think that's significant enough.
I know I'm being
no, I get what you're saying, but it's just like I'm in game right now. I can let's see. Let me find a target. It's so easy to strafe, and it's so quick. See, there's a target. I'm just 1, 2. That's a hover shot.
Did you mention that this has evasion and Mava on it? 40.
Oh yeah, I did not. So magic evasion and evasion on it plus 40. Those are nice. Those are not insignificant.
On this weapon and not on like other defensive weapons like the katana irritates me.
I think this is a theme because they want. I think what they did is they're like, hey, let's put some movement speed on here. We're gonna throw on resist slow plus 90 to go with the movement speed theme, and then we need one more thing to put on here that's kind of unique, and that's where the evasion and magic evasion came on. So the reason this is interesting to me is because agility plus 30 is not negligible at all.
Nope.
And it could benefit things like True Flight and other Ranger weapon skills. Is it good? Probably not. but it could be somewhat beneficial. It could be like a side grade. That's what I think about it.
I mean, Rangers offhands are pretty limited if you're subbing Ninja.
Yeah.
Your offhand, you're typically main handing a Perrin, right?
So for me, this is at range. I'm shooting. I have good buffs, and I'm likely at attack cap, or I'm doing magic damage.
Yeah.
I think it could be significant in that, or not. I don't mean to say significant, but I think it could be nice for that.
If we're talking True Flight, you're using Malevolences.
Right.
I don't think 30 agility beats out on 34 mab. No, 44 mab.
34? Real? Is it that high?
Malevolence's base is 34, and its augment is 10.
Oh, and no kidding. Wow. Okay. I forgot about the 34 base on it. So maybe I stand corrected.
It's it's tough because like I want to
Mhm.
like it. It needs other things to make it get up there. Like maybe if it had the ranged accuracy and attack
Right.
on it. Maybe
Right.
if it had the ability mod, like you were saying, that would push it over the edge.
Yeah. All right.
At its base, though, I can't see liking this. I think they had an idea and it doesn't really even do it.
Yeah. So counterpoint to that, I have seen it in game, and it is very cute. What do you think?
To be fair, that model of dagger was
Yeah.
released from an event in like
Mhm.
2016,
Okay.
2017, and not been around since. So yes, I would like a Chocobo Knife model to play around with, but they're rare.
It looks pretty cool. But
As
overall,
like, I can't be slowed. I'm attacking fast theme. Why is this delay not 150?
Yeah.
Stupid.
That's fair. But
I would put this in F personally.
Yeah. You'd put this in F, is that what you said?
I don't think it does anything.
Okay. You know what? Just because I like the model, and because like I don't know, I don't think it's completely useless. I think it does not a lot, but it could. I think I could find a situation for this to be useful. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but I think it has enough going for it that the argument could be made.
Get back to me when you think of one.
Yeah, I will get back to you for sure. I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna put this in D for me. Yeah.
D minus.
Yeah.
Understood.
Sure. All right.
We have 4 more weapons. 3 of them are worth discussion.
Yeah. So do you wanna do the premium heart next and just knock that out? And then we can do the last three. Yeah. Okay, great. Premium Heart is a hand-to-hand weapon. It is 172 damage plus 96 delay, strength plus 30. The unique the unique stat is chakra potency plus 50. Counter reduces chakra cast time by 1 second.
And to give pet accuracies.
Yeah, pet accuracies for pup. So chakra stuff is useless for pup, yeah.
Unless you sub monk, right? What level chakra?
Yeah. What is monk what is pup sub these days? I don't even know. I don't think it subs.
Probably like warrior,
yeah,
or dragoon, or
that's what I would expect as well. I don't know.
You
I don't like these.
You don't like these at all?
No, not really.
So the direct comparison I would make with this weapon is to the relic hand-to-hand. What are they called again?
The oh god, I'm blanking.
Sfarai?
Yes, Sfarai. That's correct.
That's it. So Sfarai is either I'm tanking or I'm solo on monk and I want to counter the shit out of things.
Right.
Sfarai gives you a potent counter bonus.
Yes.
And let me just look up what the effect is. Counter damage plus 30, counter plus 14. So I said potent, and that underperformed my expectation.
Yeah.
I think monk can easily get their counter up very high, especially when swapping to a tanky build with a lot of counter bonus on it.
Yeah, I agree.
They can counter, I would argue, 70% of attacks very easily.
To me, these say chakra macro swap, but why? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not a career monk or anything. I just play it for funsies, but you can pull up chakra.
Yeah. So
chakra do like well over 1,000.
Yeah, and I agree. Like chakras, don't get me wrong, chakra is not the issue. It's a good job ability. Is it worth swapping weapons in the middle of a fight for?
I would say no. Right. But I think the purpose of this weapon isn't for swapping. I think unless if you have this in your inventory and you're not fighting, you could swap to it, sure. But if you're mid-fight, I think this weapon's purpose is to be an alternative to Sfarai, and that it's I'm solo, I need to heal myself, or I'm tanking and I need to just keep myself tanking, keep myself alive.
So McDougal says using Sfarai helps reduce sacrificing normal TP pieces on sets. So it makes you a little bit more tanky, so you can be a little bit more aggressive in your normal sets. So just side note there. And then he also said he's going to change his monk merits to chakra. So that's exciting. We just changed McDougal's life.
forever.
Forever.
He's not going back. I think this weapon is cool.
Yeah.
In that it's a direct competitor to a relic weapon.
Okay.
And I know monks that play monk a lot do use that weapon.
Okay.
I don't think it beats the Svarai.
Right.
For that purpose.
Yeah.
But I do think, 50% potency is nothing to scoff at, and you will be getting your chakra off cooldown a lot more frequently with this item.
Yeah. To me, I would use this if I was soloing a lot on monk and I needed to heal myself between fights. I would switch to this pop chakra.
With full chakra merits, your chakra is on 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Okay.
I could see this getting your chakra down to like a minute.
Okay. So overall, what would you give this piece? Like I think D, maybe high D.
Maybe high D or C.
Okay. I think high D, low C. I think that's fair.
Cool. I think the comparison here is that this turns your chakra instead of like a heal between fights kind of move or a panic button into more of the Rune Fencer healing ability.
Oh, like a Vivacious Pulse. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It turns it more into that because you get it with the countering, if you're assuming you're holding hate, which is the purpose of this weapon, you're going to be getting it like every minute,
right?
Which is much more in line with Vivacious Pulse.
That's interesting. That's a good way to talk about it. So let's move on to Diamond Aspis.
Sure.
This is a very popular one. So I have mixed feelings about this because this has been getting overhyped all day on the auction house.
Well, so has the other weapon that we haven't.
Yeah, a lot of the next couple of weapons that we're going to talk about have been getting really, really hyped up on the auction house today. So Diamond Aspis, the big draw is the extends duration of standard abilities, so no SPs by 25%. But before we start getting into that specifically, it also has vitality plus 30. It has magic evasion and evasion plus 30, which is worth noting, and it has increases skill chain duration. So,
and 30 mab.
Yeah, and 30 mab, which is significant when you have warrior, white mage, red mage, thief, paladin, and beast on it.
I'd say the three main jobs that would wear this are warrior, red mage, paladin, and the other three are niche.
So I actually think this is the best shield for Beastmaster.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah, I
because
think
really have options.
Yeah, so the ability to have mab on Beastmaster for Primal Rend and Cloud Splitter alone is what's most appealing to me out the gate, based off my jobs. If I was a red mage, it would be appealing to me for other reasons. But what do you think? Give me your thoughts on this.
Going to Beastmaster. Yeah. This only affects Killer Instinct, but Killer Instinct is an incredibly potent buff.
Yeah. I guess before we go into any further, we should put an asterisk on it because we both know this. But in case you're listening and you're not familiar with this, the extends duration only applies to yourself. Correct. So if you use a party-wide duration or ability like Warcry or Killer Instinct, the duration does not get increased to your party members. It only gets increased to you. So anyway, go on, Dex.
Deadly.
Yeah.
This only affects Killer Instinct on Beast. Otherwise, it's just a stat stick, albeit arguably the best stat stick they have options from.
Yeah.
Like, what are they using otherwise? Sacro Shield?
Yeah, Sacro Shield, Adapa Shield. There's a bunch of random, kind of not very good.
Sacro Bulwark is 130 defense, less than this. Less shield skill. Your potency, you don't use Surge, you don't use block plus 15, 10 DT, you don't need the DT. So this is just a straight up better item. It lets you get better accuracy, better mab.
Yeah, McDougal mentioned that you can full-time Killer Instinct on Beastmaster with it as well.
If you're a Beast main, I think this is your first pick, well above the Beast Axe and other things.
Yeah.
For Thief and White Mage, it only affects one ability. Thief, it affects... is it Accomplice that gives everyone this subtle blow and accuracy?
Is that a duration-based buff?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
No, Accomplice is the Steel's Enmity.
Yeah.
It is Conspirator.
Oh, okay.
But the purpose of Conspirator is to give your party those stats, and this only affects you.
Right. So we can safely say Thief probably isn't getting much out of this.
I don't know when Thief would wear a shield over an offhand dagger.
I agree.
White Mage, this affects Sacrosanctity?
So it doesn't, though. Because in theory, yes, it does. But Sacrosanctity gets wiped after the first magic hit. So what are you really gaining out of that?
The ability to pop it preemptively and have it last longer.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to get hit with a magic ability for
if you're
longer
offhanding a
than
shield,
30
it's
seconds,
probably
then, yeah.
the best shield for White Mage.
I do think that it is the best idle shield for White Mage. Because how easy it is to cap TT and the Miva. Yeah, exactly like you said. McDougal mentioned that Aspis will also increase job abilities from Sub-Rune for those jobs.
That makes sense.
So that's really not a bad, like, especially for Paladin Sub-Rune, if you are using a lot of those tools, those are not.
Yeah, I was getting rid of the 3 jobs that only get one ability each.
Yeah. So we had Beast, Thief, and what was your next one that you wanted to get rid of? White Mage?
White Mage. Okay. Yeah, they only get one ability benefited.
Perfect.
As far as stat stick, obviously, like, for Beast, this is the best shield.
Yeah.
It's the best stat stick.
Yeah.
For Thief, you wouldn't use it. For White Mage, it's a great stat stick. But as far as its unique effect goes, it only affects one ability each. The other 3 jobs are a much more in-depth discussion, like Paladin, for example.
Yes.
Rampart.
Yes.
Sentinel. Those are quite potent abilities that you want as often as possible.
I agree. So,
and you don't care about your TP on Paladin, so swapping into this to pop those JAs is very viable.
Right. So from my perspective as Paladin Warrior, my 2 main jobs, I look at this, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Are you afraid because dropping it to this shield will weaken you substantially for that short period of time?
No, that's not it. It is the amount of work that I'm going to have to do to make it, like, viable in my Lua to make this effective. So dropping weapons on both Paladin and Warrior is inconvenient. It's never fun. I'm going to say, as a general rule of thumb, people have been posting about Warcry and this shield all day. I don't like it for Warcry.
How much longer will it make your Warcry?
It's going to increase your Warcry by 15 seconds. But hear me out. If you are switching weapons to apply a shield, you're losing at least 5 seconds of that. So you get maybe 10 seconds only on yourself for Warcry. Which, yeah, sure, you get like maybe 2 or 3 extra weapon skills. To me, that's not significant enough to go through that whole process. I don't know how you feel about that.
2 or 3 extra TP bonus out the wazoo weapon skills. Do
you really like it that much?
I think that's strong.
Yeah. But if you're already counting,
if you're mid-combat,
if you're mid-combat, I hate it. If you're mid-combat, it's a hard no.
Shield.
Yeah.
Would you wear this over blurred shield full time?
So some people were arguing that you should leave it in during the duration of Warcry, just because, or just so you don't have to switch it back. That really doesn't make sense to me because with modern gear swaps, you can switch it back so fast that it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
But the big thing for me is that if I do this before a fight, that means I can no longer use armor break. So how often am I willing to sacrifice my defense down in exchange for this?
I think in a scenario where you're bringing a great axe, I know you're a great axe aficionado.
That's true.
And this weapon is not really, this item is not really something that's viable. But if you're, I know a lot of warriors, especially for like sortie, where you're doing 8 boss melee style with white mage, and you're diversifying your damage, right? So the warrior is using the Ikenga axe instead of Savage Blade.
Sure.
Then I think this pulls more weight because you're maining a shield anyway, and
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think it comes down to play style.
You're picking this over a blurred shield in that scenario.
Yeah. So, like you said, you're exactly right. I'm big on two-handed weapons for warrior, and I've talked about that on length multiple times. I probably will never back down from that hill.
Mhm.
But so for me, I don't like giving up all of the utility that I get from having a great axe.
If we change the frame of discussion,
Mhm.
so Warcry is a TP bonus effect.
Yes.
This allows Warcry to be up longer, so you maintain that TP bonus effect for, let's say, 3 to 5 weapon skills more.
Mhm.
Blurred Shield is a TP bonus shield. That's full time. What do you wearing the Blurred Shield is strictly for the TP bonus. It doesn't really give anything substantial otherwise.
Right.
The Diamond Aspis, you lose the TP bonus for some period of time.
Mhm.
However, you gain all these stats, defensive stats, accuracy, and increases skill chain duration.
Right.
So it's competitive, but there's like a balance in that they serve different purposes.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I think that nailed it. So for me, just speaking about warrior, if
Mhm.
this gave the entire party 15 seconds extra war
Hands down,
cry, I hands immediately. I would do
yes.
it because now it's not just me getting the ability; it's the
The
entire
fact that
group
it's
is
stealth
benefiting. Yeah,
is extremely
right.
restrictive,
Yeah.
and it limits its potential. I think
Yes.
you rightly pointed out that people do not notice that part of it enough.
Yes. Um, as far as like the other abilities, yeah, Warcry is really the only thing that pops out to me.
It makes
It,
Berserk full time, right? Because Berserk is 7
you're
or 8 seconds off of full time.
it's it might even be less than that. Let me check real quick. So let's see.
I know Berserk is up like 99% of the time, but this easily makes it full time.
So my Berserk is off by 5 seconds.
Those
I
5 seconds kill you.
yeah, okay.
It's why it's like all the
Yeah,
abilities. Warrior gets a lot of abilities.
yeah.
It's Berserk, Warcry, Aggressor, uh, Retaliation.
Retaliation is
Um,
full time already. Um, like I don't know. Aggressor maybe. I don't like aggressor in general. McDougal states Conqueror is better than Diamond Aspis swap.
yeah,
I could potentially agree with that. I have other thoughts about Conqueror. I have a Conqueror. I love my Conqueror. Um, but that's a conversation for another time. I think Conqueror is a really cool weapon to have in your back pocket.
I do agree that for Berserk specifically,
Yeah.
if your Berserk is only down for 5 seconds, then you should get a stronger Berserk effect rather than it lasting those additional 5 seconds.
Yeah. So let's kind of taper off the warrior discussion. I think if we go any further into this, we're gonna really start getting into the weeds. And I have a bunch of more thoughts, but I don't want to drag this on for like an hour or two just on this
Well,
one.
my last point on Warrior
Yeah.
is with this shield,
Uh-huh.
you get full time Warcry and Blood Rage.
Okay. Well, you'd have to swap it out both times.
Yes.
Are you saying like you can alternate the two full time?
Well, Blood Rage overwrites Warcry, so you never do it first.
Right.
So you Warcry, and then Warcry wears off, and then you Blood Rage.
Right.
Does this allow them both to be up in perpetuity? Like you just go
No.
Warcry and then Blood Rage?
No.
So then it's not worth it to me.
Yeah. It would be about 2.5 minutes short.
Of downtime?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then that really like hurts its selling point for me.
Yeah. For Paladin, I think this is more significant than it is for Warrior. I
Absolutely.
think it's easier to swap into stuff for Paladin. I think it would be really cool to have longer Sentinel. I think it would be really cool to have a little bit longer Rampart, even if it's only affecting you. My main complaints, it's not even like an argument against it. It's just Sentinel adding, I don't know, what would it be, 10, 15 seconds? That's not going to change much for me. And I don't think any established Paladin is going to really feel the effect of a couple extra seconds of Sentinel. What do you think?
I think Sentinel's really strong.
It is.
But to your point, like a paladin worth their salt, phalanx up. They're not really taking damage anyway.
Right. If you're tanking the way that you should be in managing your enmity, spiking it at the early of the fight, you're not
Sentinel's more of an
gonna.
enmity tool rather than a I'm
Right.
not dying tool.
Exactly. And in this scenario, like to me, the Sentinel timer being longer helps more with like big segment pulls when you're taking a little bit more damage than you meant to. But if you're at that point where you need 40, 45, however, I can't even, let me check. Sentinel,
You're
is
better off
Sentinel
casting
45
phalanx
seconds?
over again or something instead of
Mm-hmm.
hitting the button.
So Caballerius feet give 10 seconds. So you get 40 seconds base. So McDougal said an extended sentinel allows for more flash, etc., which I agree with. But I think that also goes back to if I'm managing hate like I should at the beginning of the fight, I should be spiking it so quickly that I don't need to worry too much about like one or two extra flashes. It's gonna help. Like I'm not saying it's not gonna help. I want this shield to do more for me. For my choice as a Mog Bonanza weapon, I would like a little bit more. For me, and we can still talk about Paladin, but for me, this shield really shines on Red Mage.
Yes, this is a red mage shield.
Okay,
This is a beast shield and a red mage shield.
I agree.
It makes your I was gonna say a funny joke and I forgot it.
That's
This
okay.
makes your composure last 2 hours 30 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
It's obviously for not Saboteur. No, Saboteur. I got mixed up with Stymie.
15
It's
seconds
Saboteur.
Saboteur is nothing to sneeze at.
Saboteur is probably the most potent buff in the game
Really?
in terms of like how much it provides the job. Like it
Okay.
gives you so much accuracy that you land things and you break things.
Right.
It's often like the most important thing you need to have up for landing debuffs on targets, and those debuffs are critical for the continuation of the fight,
Yeah.
be it gravity or distract or what have you. Like those debuffs need to go down, and Saboteur is what allows that to happen.
Right.
So having it last an additional 15 seconds is incredibly strong.
I agree. Saboteur. What's that?
You can also just main the shield as an Amarapi replacement and swap to Amarapi for buffing.
I agree. It's strong for Saboteur. It's strong for magic damage if you're using Prosea. Yeah. And the other thing is if you're doing Ammonon runs and you want Last Resort, you want Soul Eater, that will help you on Red Mage.
Yeah.
Which are, again, like small benefits, but that is a good, like...
They're significant.
Yeah, that's a significant... McDougal says not only landing them, but the potency is improved by Saboteur. And when you only have a minute to land like super important debuffs, that extra 15 seconds, I would argue, is pretty significant. I've heard some red mages say they don't think so, but I guess that's really a matter of personal preference and if you want to give yourself some grace time.
Saboteur's potency is nothing to scoff at.
Oh, absolutely. So
just to preempt the retort of this gives more accuracy than Amarapi, it doesn't, because Amarapi gives 2 less magic accuracy, but also gives 13 int in mind, so it has more.
Okay.
But in terms of nuking, I think it's on par or better.
I would probably almost always use this shield over Amarapi. Maybe
less mab and no int than Amarapi.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just think it's a better item overall.
Yeah, I agree. So overall, unless there's anything you want to add, are we good to rate?
I want to put Diamond Aspis in B tier.
You want to put it in B tier? Interesting. I thought you were going to go A. I really thought you were going to go A.
I think it's to the bottom of A or the top of B.
Yeah, I think it's A tier. As much as
I think the effect it provides Red Mage and Beast is nothing to ignore.
I've been arguing with people against this shield all day. I've been trying to trash this shield all day, and the more that I consider it, the more I like it. I don't like it for warrior. I've already had that conversation, but I think for the cases where it does shine, it's really nice.
I could see putting it in A. Yeah, I do think it's a top 5 item.
Okay,
I've always said it's a top 5 item.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Diamond Aspis is done. We are now on to the last 2, right? So we have Yagyu Darkblade and Wizard's Rod. Which one do you want to do first?
Do Wizard's Rod.
Let's do Wizard's Rod. I'm just going to save Yagyu for last. That's funny. That is the most yeah. Okay, Wizard's Rod. I have been... Okay, so just how I've been arguing against Aspis Shield all day, I've been hyping up Wizard's Rod all day. Wizard's Rod is a single-handed club, damage 149, int plus 30, mab and magic accuracy plus 40. We have a bunch of other stats that I'll talk about in a minute, and then the unique stat is inflicts magic burst damage based on skill chain duration. Elemental magic occasionally casts without using MP. I like this a lot more than I thought I would until I started really looking into these weapons.
I saw your discussion of subbing Dancer to use this in Bunzy's Rod.
So I wasn't actually proposing the sub Dancer. That was somebody saying they tested it with sub Dancer on the
I didn't say you proposed it.
Yeah. So that was interesting though, because I hadn't thought of that until before. Because when I think of Black Mage, I don't think about dual wielding. But what are your initial thoughts on this? What do you think?
I think it's kind of like a free Bunzy Rod. As Scholar, you can increase the skill chain duration by a long amount with helixes, and that'll make your magic burst damage. I don't know the flat values, but I'm assuming it would be like +1 magic burst 2 per second. I would assume. So I could see this being quite potent.
So this is going
the elemental without MP is very interesting.
So this is going to increase damage based on the skill chain duration. So if you have I think from what I understand, unless I'm misinterpreting this, that is how long the skill chain has been going for, or is it the entire skill chain duration? Like you were saying,
if it's
that's
the
interesting.
Whole thing, like if it's step 1 to step 4, that's big.
Right. So let's see. The damage boost varies on how quickly the spell lands after the skill chain is performed. So it doesn't matter how long the skill chain is open for, it just matters how quickly you're casting.
Huh. So as a black mage, you want to be the first one to land anyway to not get walled.
So I'm gonna put like a preface out there because right now we don't have enough information, but based on the one person that tried to test this today, the information on BG is not entirely accurate. And I'm not sure if that's true or not. We just don't have enough information because the person that tested it on Auction House was saying they actually got higher damage in the middle of the skill chain as opposed to the ones where they waited.
Interesting.
So this Hax is saying that he tested it as well. The MBD is similar to the trait, and he said the earlier in the skill chain you nuke, the higher the bonus. Okay, so did you confirm that, Hax?
I would assume this is a unique effect and it stacks with magic burst damage.
Okay.
Separately.
So Hax said he did confirm that earlier in the skill chain is what increased damage. So BG is correct. So that being said, overall thoughts, it has an unknown damage multiplier on it. It has a really high int value. That's what's really drawing my eye, is the int value.
30 int?
Yes. That is significant when you're doing fights where int really matters.
Well, Bunzy's Rod at R30 gives
15
a lot more mab.
And a lot more mab, yeah.
But only 15 int.
Yeah. So it's 15 int against, if I remember correctly, R30 has 35 or 30 more mab?
35 mab plus 30, so it has
25 more mab. So 25 mab versus 15 int.
That's a lot closer than people would suspect.
I agree. And to be honest, if it pushes you over an int tier, I think the
Better.
int would be way better.
Yes.
So that's what really drew my eye was I was looking at these numbers and the int popped out at me and I was like, holy shit,
You have to
there
consider,
might be
right,
something
that
here.
you're pairing this with like Amarapi, so
Right.
you're getting more in.
Right. You're pairing it with Amarapi. Shit, you might be pairing this with. Too bad Scholar can't use the Diamond Aspis, but
Yeah.
both. Yeah, but I think there's something here that I want to know more about. I'm considering getting this on one of my alts to test because I think at the very least this is at least as good as a highly ranked highly ranked Bunzi. Probably 25 to 30 Bunzi. I think it's comparable.
Yeah, this is on par with like a Max Bunzi, but it has the additional effect.
Yeah, and so McDougal brought up a good point, and I was talking about this earlier as well. My biggest reservation about this is the fact that you don't have access to Merkur as
Moonlight doesn't really cover it, right?
Right. So Merkur is huge for replenishing MP, especially on Black Mage. It's not as big on Scholar. It is nice on Scholar.
Bunzi Amarapi already. That's still mostly considered best in slot.
Exactly.
So
for this, I feel like I can't give it a good rating because I need more information about it. I need better facts for how much damage it's increasing for the magic burst damage. I need to know how that works and interacts with the skill chain timers a little bit more.
I'm curious what percentage of the time the elemental doesn't consume MP.
Yeah, and you know what? If I could guarantee a Moogle Iris, I would make this right now.
How big does it get? Let's see.
It gets another plus 10 int.
Yep.
Another, I think 10 or 15 magic attack bonus. It's enough of a jump for me.
So from 30 and 40 to 40 and 45.
Yeah.
And more magic damage.
Yeah. Also, not to mention that this has more magic damage than Bunzi's, which is not negligible for Helixes.
Absolutely.
So, I really like this.
I think the whole Merkur discussion can completely be offset if the elemental magic occasionally casts without MP. Procs often enough.
Yeah. So
I think this is like the top of C tier or B tier if it's good enough, depending on how big the value is.
Yeah, I was gonna say B, depending on information coming in. I could see it being better than B. I think somebody made the argument to me today that the reason they don't like this is that it's the unique thing about this is damage. So give it time and it will eventually fall by the wayside. Whereas the other weapons that we've been talking about have some sort of unique thing going for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's a valid argument. I would still put it in B. And I like this a lot more than I thought I would.
It's a very cool weapon.
Yeah.
It's better than most people would, on face value, rate it.
I 1000% agree. So let's talk about the very last one, the famous, the highly anticipated, the Yagyu Darkblade. This is a single-handed katana. It is ninja only. Has 156 damage, dex plus 30. And the unique unique stat is Utsusemi effect extends to an area. So that means it can hit all of your party members. And Utsusemi shadow image of party members -2. So that means Utsusemi Ichi gives 1 shadow, Ni gives 2, Asan gives 3. It is not affected by Utsusemi plus gear. So you can only get a maximum of 3 shadows with Utsusemi-san. First comment says S tier weapon for an F tier job.
Yep, no. I was gonna say my first comment was,
yeah,
how good is Ninja?
Yeah. Oh no.
Ninja is among the worst jobs in the game right now. It just doesn't fill a role. It doesn't fit into the mold of our metagame.
Okay. How important is our metagame? Like, I don't want to get into a gigantic discussion, but can you find a use for this?
The meta game, it's more flexible than people want to admit,
I agree.
but it is still somewhat rigid in that jobs need to perform some sort of role, right?
Yeah.
Ninja excels at, I can't speak today,
It's okay.
is their biggest draw is hybrid weapon skills, right? So they can TP super fast like a samurai, and they can do hybrid weapon skill damage that's big when they're allowed to.
Right.
This weapon is clearly designed as a support role or as a tanking role. When you want to get into the weeds, Utsusemi generates a lot of enmity.
Mm-hmm.
You can pair it with enmity tools to do a lot, and when that cascades to your party, suddenly you're generating enmity faster than a paladin.
Right.
Or Rin Fencer. That being said, ninja tanking has not been a thing since 75 era, and I don't see that changing even with this in your repertoire.
Okay.
There's just too many AoE spams, too many heavy hitting things that go through shadows for ninja tanking with shadows to be viable in most endgame content. Now, there are fights that use ninja, and since ninja does more damage than supports, it will inevitably be tanking.
Sure.
I think the premier fight for ninja in the game currently at endgame is the Dagger Master Trial.
Yeah.
Now, if you bring that up as a selling point for the Yagyu Darkblade, right? Ninja is the job to bring for that fight because there are, I want to say, 3 or 4 enemies that spam nasty AoEs that if they hit you, you probably lose.
Right.
Or you get disadvantaged such to the point that it's risky for your clear.
Okay.
Get stoned or whatever. So all jobs need to maintain shadows for that entire fight. But you need 3 shadows.
Right.
Otherwise you get hit.
Yeah.
So the Yagyu Darkblade actually isn't doing much because you need to maintain San to keep your party members at 3.
Right. I agree. There's a lot missing from this. I think this weapon is one piece of solving the current puzzle that is the problems with ninja.
Yes.
I'm probably going to get this weapon on one of my alts because, well, I mean, you know Ernie. I'm going to ask him first, but I'm probably going to get it for him because he likes playing ninja, and I really want to find a use for this to apply because it's such a unique and cool thing.
This weapon's downfall is inherently the fact that it says Utsusemi extends to an area instead of ninjutsu extends to an area.
That would be pretty cool. Imagine if you could AoE enfeeble on ninja.
Store TP.
Yeah.
Migawari. All the stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Inhibit TP. Yeah.
Migawari would be huge.
Yes. If it did that, that would be incredible.
-2.
Actually, I think that would solve pretty much the entire ninja problem if you just did that alone. I was saying earlier that I think if you added a defense down, like a potent defense down, you gave them AoE shadows, and you made Yonian and Inin actually matter, I think that might also solve the ninja problem. But I don't know. It's a complex issue. The problem is it is currently in the hybrid support DD class, and it doesn't do anything better than any of the other hybrid sports.
Correct. Many other jobs do the same thing but better.
Yeah.
Ninja is a fun job, and it can spit out great numbers, but there really isn't a draw to ninja outside of very niche scenarios where you would be like, I need the ninja. And then this weapon does provide an incredibly game-changing effect.
Yeah.
But that game-changing effect doesn't serve a purpose currently.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
If the Shadow -2 didn't exist, then this would be the best offhand for the Dagger Master Trial, because you need 3 shadows to be up for all those TP moves, and then you can just cycle your 3 ninja, your 3 Utsusemis, and keep the whole party at 3 shadows at all times.
Right.
But the fact that it effectively works for San means your other party members are going to need to sub ninja anyway to keep Ni up.
Right.
If this could allow them to sub something else, then we'd be in a different ball game right now. We'd be talking about, oh, they can sub Dragoon, they can sub Warrior, they can do more damage.
Yeah.
This ninja allows them to play the way they want to play.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. I want so much for this to be feasible, but I think the problem isn't with this weapon. It's with the place that Ninja's in currently.
Correct. It's not with the weapon. It's with the place of the job that it affects.
So with that being said, like if you're a career ninja and you love the job, I mean, fuck, man, I have a master ninja. I really like the job. I wish I had an excuse to play it more.
Every ninja that plays ninja wants to have this in their arsenal for a day that they use it.
Yes.
You know, for the rainy day. It's such a unique effect. It's
absolutely
arguably the most unique effect on the list.
Absolutely.
Maybe Miracle Chair.
I think you could force this into places if you wanted to. I was discussing maybe using it as a like a hybrid DD for Aristeas or other slashing damage monsters in Odyssey, where you can off tank the ads with shadows, like putting shadows up on the entire party. It's going to help out.
Yep.
Maybe not a ton, but it'll help out a little bit. Absolutely.
It's worth mentioning that offhanding this gimps you significantly in that Ninja has access to the strongest stat stick in the game for their offhand. Are
you talking about Kunomitsu?
Kunomitsu, yeah.
Yeah, Kunomitsu is very, very strong.
Kunomitsu is arguably the biggest stat stick in the game, and you just have to remove that to wear this.
Yeah, and it is nice that it does work in the offhand as well. You don't have to main hand it.
Yep.
But still, like you said, that's still a big here. I'm gonna
if you want to get
drag Shiraj into here, just so you know. So Shiraj is with us now, but go on, Dex.
I'd say if you want to get into the weeds from the enmity thing, you can main hand the SU5, generate tons of enmity per shadow generated.
Yeah.
And this suddenly, like, you're spike emitying to cap within a minute. I want Ninja to be a viable tank because I played the 75 era and Ninja was a very fun tank.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it just needs this and more in the future to get to that point, and we're not there yet.
So that being said, where would you rank this weapon?
B tier.
Really? Wow. See, I don't think that the job or the place that the job is in right now should reflect on the weapon itself. So I'm gonna say A plus.
You think it's A plus?
I'm gonna say A plus because
you're saying it's the best weapon, but the job sucks.
I do. Yeah. I think it's the best weapon because it takes a very, very small step in actually changing how the job functions. And whether or not that is super significant, it is still more significant than anything else that the weapon or any of the other Mog Bonanza weapons do.
My gripes with putting it in A are that I do agree it's evolutionary to the job, but it severely gimps your job in that a quality of life change that should exist for the job now has to sacrifice your offhand.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'm gonna say A then. Yeah, with that.
I was gonna say, and I'm looking at it in totality, whereas you're looking at it in isolation.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. Shiraj, now that you're in here, welcome in. By the way.
Okay, I'm leaving.
We are recording. Shiraj, have you chosen your Mog Bonanza weapon yet? Have you given it any thought?
I have not chosen yet.
You haven't? Okay. Well, I was telling Dex earlier, I've chosen 2 of the 6 that I'm going to get for all of my characters. Dex, have you chosen your Mog Bonanza weapon yet?
No, I'm waiting.
Really?
I want to see a little bit more testing, and I don't see a need to jump right into it.
I agree.
One of my static members has the onion sword, and we're gonna test that on Ammonon with him on core and me on Bard. Right. If I like what I see, I might pick up the onion sword and then use it on Bard, and he can use Nagling on core. Like I said before, I'm 50-50 on the Miracle Cheer or the onion sword.
Okay. Shiraj, what are you leaning towards?
If I played Bard, I would get the horn.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it's between Wizard's Rod, the shield,
Okay.
and the staff. The staff it would be more of a mess around weapon, not because it's insanely overpowered.
Okay.
Just because, damn, re-raise 5? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's very...
So I was telling Dex earlier that if the enchantment was a raise 5 on another person, I would get it instantly.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think
So
that
many
would
of
be
these
cool.
weapons, the slightest tweak would break them, and like we would just be like, "Look at this amazing thing."
Yeah.
I wish the upgrade with the iris actually like put them there, but then we'd be having the same old discussion of we're never getting this damn thing. How come they made it so rare?
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, I think it's honestly amazing that they did this for the anniversary. I'm still shocked that they decided to do something this big. If you asked any of
Thank you,
us a
Trey.
month ago, that I don't think any of us would have ever expected this.
No, I was much more cynical and black-pilled on how they treat the players.
I've learned more about the Mog Bonanza weapons today than I have since they've been out, because I never expected to ever win and actually look at getting one. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm still torn. I want more testing as well. I think the Wizard's Rod has a lot of potential, but I need like harder numbers on it. And as much as I talk shit about the Diamond Aspis, mostly because I don't like the playstyle of it on Warrior, I think that may be the most universally applied piece. And that may be where I end up going.
I heard the shield can extend skill chains to what, 10 seconds was it?
10 seconds is not insignificant at all. But I don't know, again, it comes down to playstyle. Like for me, I'm looking at it from a warrior perspective, and how often am I needing open skill chains that long for, like, my thought goes to magic burst windows. I don't know what you think about it, but that is not something to overlook. That is something that is pretty cool. You could,
Shield
especially
belongs
on
on
red
Scholar.
match.
Why is Scholar not on the shield?
Yeah.
God.
Bro,
Yeah.
yes.
If Scholar was on that shield, I would get it immediately. Sakura says when you factor other people going too, 10 seconds, yeah, that's a long time. I agree. That would be really cool for like mage setups if you could apply it to that.
Yeah, I wish. Do you think Square Enix giving everyone in the game these items will transform the metagame?
No.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. I think these items were designed not to transform it. I think if they had been designed to transform the metagame, they wouldn't have been locked behind what they have been locked behind for so long.
I do think we'll see a significant influx of these weapons being used, though.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, there's going to be a lot of diamond shields. There's going to be a lot of onion swords. There's going to be a lot of Utu grip style offhanders that people just snap picked.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I'm kind of surprised how fast so many people have chosen their weapons. I know early in the morning people were saying, oh my gosh, this must be a mistake. There's no way they would ever do this, all sorts of things like that. But it was announced in their live stream this morning, wasn't it? Yep. I know it was in Japanese, so we kind of had to wait for the translation. But my understanding
I hold my phone up with Google Lens.
Oh, did you? That's awesome. All right. I think that pretty much wraps it up, guys. Is there anything you guys want to add before we wind down on this?
If by any rare and unholy reason some rep from Square Enix is watching your stream, no offense, it's just like I don't think they're watching any stream.
I don't think they are either.
But if they are, please do this more often, and thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Shiraj, you got anything? Thanks for popping in here right at the end. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. I think everyone should get the Beast Axe, honestly.
Beast Axe. All right, we're gonna go ahead and
where we were